Greetings and welcome to Old Drunken Discography, where old friends and fans come together to BS, argue, occasionally agree, and discuss musical artists. Today we are talking about Mr. Bungle, the album California. We will be ranking these albums as we go along in order of greatness. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe, see how it all ends in the end. We have a Discord, la-di-da-di-da. Yada, yada, yada. So with that out of the way, with me today, we have Tim.
Hola.
Cole quit.
I have the Growing Pains theme song stuck in my head.
Go watch Jimmy Eat World. It's a good one. And Joe.
What's happening?
And myself, Jason. As you can see, we don't have a fucking script here at ODD. We just kind of just fucking go with it. So we're going to go right into California by Mr. Bungle.
All right.
Third album.
Third album.
Yeah. I remember the first time I heard this record, I was actually at Tim's house. There was a little get-together at his place. This record had just come out. He was very excited about it, and he put it on the loudspeakers as loud as humanly possible. And it was one of those life-changing kind of moments, man, that I'm never going to forget. And because I also got to see Mr. T be somebody or be somebody's fool that night as well. Like, it was just a special
Which
night.
I still have on VHS.
It is a cultural touchstone of my existence that night. This record is insane. It is like, it's oddly their most pop record, but it's still just completely insane. I think Tim, when we listened to it the first time, he described it to me as beautiful, sunny, temperate, but with a few natural disasters. And
that's from their press release for the album.
That's a thesis statement if I've ever heard it, man. That's like the perfect encapsulation of this record. It's got the craziest vibes of like retro guitar, surf rock, and bebop, and like very like AM gold kind of sound going on. Just everything's drenched in reverb. It's just sugary sweet madness, and I love it. Dude, like just Sweet Charity with the like, dude, everything on there. Mike Patton is like killing it. Like, whereas Disco Volante was very him using his voice as an instrument, this is the combination of him using his voice as an instrument and at the same time also being a lead singer. Like, there is everything on this record vocally. There's everything musically. It's just a beautiful piece of art. Like, and as somebody, like, I'm more of a pop-leaning kind of guy. I like verses and choruses and stuff, so I appreciate there's a little bit more structure as far as songwriting goes on this record as well. It's still got the avant-garde and non-traditional placements, but there are definitely repeating motifs in a song that call back to one another that kind of gives it everything a cohesion that I really appreciate as somebody that just loves pop songs in general. But yeah, Sweet Charity, just ridiculous. And then the insanity and just abrupt, like, suffering suffocation of none of them knew they were robots. Just like in your face, just bam, I'm hitting you over the head with this scary horror vibe. And it's just amazing. And then it just goes into the most delicate piece of music I've heard in a while. Like, it's just so good. And then Retro Vertigo is maybe the most beautiful song I've ever heard by Mike Patton in all of his projects. Like, it is literally a stunner, man. It just heart-wrecking, beautiful, and just crazy good. And then there's the lunacy of the air-conditioned nightmare. And Pink Cigarette is like a film noir masterpiece about lost love and suicide, I think. Like, I don't even know, but it's just absolutely lovely. Golem 2 is a little... that's like the self-titled song for me on this record. Like, it's got a very... I know it's not carnival music necessarily, but it's got a very off-kilter vibe that kind of reminds me of the first record. But at the same time, it's also like elevator music and hell. I don't know. It's just this weird song. Just a fun listen, but it kind of makes me a little nauseous at the same time. Vanity Fair is a soul bop. It's also a shattering comedy in a way. Now that I've made it, I'm finally naked, dude. That's That's some real shit right there, my man. And then Goodbye Sober Day is just the most perfect closer on any record ever. Like, it's just, once he starts hitting that Mike Patton kind of like scat attack of just madness, like, chef kiss, dude. I love this record so very, very much. I like Disco Volante a lot. Like, I didn't know I was going to like that record as much as I did, but this is still my king. This is my king. This is my California king, even, I would say. I love this record.
All right. Well, Joe, what you got?
I mean, I think this record's amazing. Obviously, I when I first got this, when I first heard it, when Michael Burnham first played this for me, I like the next day went to Bass Sound and got Billy to order it for me, and picked it up a week later or whenever it came in, and that CD went with me everywhere. Like I worked at IHOP at the time, and that CD was in my apron.
I remember those days.
It was like my new toy that I showed everyone that I talked to, everyone that I met. It's banger after banger, just like, their self-titled, every song's great too, but like, I feel like this one, every song's amazing. Every song's like kind of new. They reinvent themselves like 17 times on this, but kind of keep the pop sensibility. Is very accessible. Vanity Fair may be Patton's greatest performance vocally for me. I love Golem too, but I'm also into weird electronic music, so like it fits. Golem 2 kind of like fit like the Aphex Twin side of my brain. I got into that, right? Yeah, I mean, I annoyed the shit out of everyone when I first had this album, because I was playing it for everyone, singing it to everyone, and and now I live in California, and I understand why it's called California.
So I got a question about this record. I'll get to it. I've heard bits and pieces of it because Joe would play it, Burnham would play it, Tim probably played it. But
I could do the math for you. I've heard this album a lot.
I never. I worked at CD Warehouse, and I remember selling this CD to people. But this is my
who
first
either ran
time.
into Joe or me or Burnham,
Yeah.
and we're like, "You gotta get
not
this."
Joe. He was still loyal to Bass Sound, so.
Oh yeah, well,
Yeah,
okay.
I went to CD Warehouse too. I did.
Yeah, you did.
And Satori and
shout
Dr.
out to
Music, and
Yeah,
shout out to Billy and Bass Sound, because they're still
for
around.
sure.
Oh, dude, I went
They
to
moved,
Bass
didn't they? Last time I was there, I saw that they were.
Yeah, and they're more vinyl focused now than anything, but
Well,
they're still there.
They moved from that one spot that they used to be to another spot, and now they're right next door to that place. Because when the last time I visited Alabama, I went to where they were the visit before, and they weren't there anymore. And I thought they had closed, and then I realized they were right next door. Because I always make a point to go say hello to Billy when I'm there.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I never bought it, never listened to it until now, so this is all fresh for me. Sweet Charity, starting out on a beach, chilling vibes, just cruising that melody. I like this one. There's still 100 different things going on. So many tempo changes, you just get lost, but it also feels more natural and not as jarring as earlier songs. It's a more focused, chaotic. I guess that's that pop sensibility. None of them knew they were robots. I don't know how to take notes for this. Again, there are so many changes and shit going on.
None of them knew.
There's like 10 different musical styles going on. Really like the lyrics on this one. I looked at the timestamp. It's only 2 minutes into a 6-minute song. Holy shit. Definitely coming back to this one. Retro Vertigo, soft acoustic start. Okay, that's new. Good lyrics. And a cynic at best. My art imitates crime. Paid for by the Allies, so invest. It's got this beat going on, which sounds like every band with a turntable that came out a few years later. Only it's there for a bit and gone. It's only one tiny part in this thing. The strings, the bells, the acoustic guitar, everything else. And then it picks up. Damn, this one was going as well. Air conditioning. Did not like the beginning part, but at 45 seconds we get some fun shit. This one sounds familiar, probably Burnham. It feels like California somehow. Indian music on acid going on with Ars Morandeli. Goes heavy for Too Short. Then it's polka on acid. It was okay, but I could definitely take it or leave it. I would love to see them live. How in the hell do they perform these songs? Pink Cigarette, slow, sweet, softness, like some 50 sounding shit. This is the most listened to song on Spotify. Dare I say it was kind of boring for Mr. Bungle? I did like the countdown at the end and the flat line. And it's not a bad song. It's actually really good. It just only has 100 things going on it versus the normal 1,000.
Therefore making it a little boring.
Here's where my
the
question...
ADHD, it's an ADHD thing, man. It's like you find something that's not all the time, and it's just like it's not as satisfying sometimes.
Yeah. This is where my question come in. Where's Golem 1?
Dun, 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 dun. I don't know.
That is a good question.
I'm willing to overlook the fact that this is Golem 2 and where is number 1 because this song is so good. It reminds me of one of my favorite Beck eras, the Guero era, which came out like 10 years after this. I don't know what else to say. This song was amazing. The Holy Filament, not liking the beginning. Not enough changes in this one, besides a part that sounds like it's straight out of Twin Peaks. But overall, I'm going to go with my kid's opinion on it, as she was in here while I was listening to it. And she says, and I quote, "This is the song you would put on a playlist for that kind of mood, but then skip it every time it comes up in the playlist."
Well.
Vanity Fair had me snapping my fingers to it. Had a 50 sound to it. I like this one. Goodbye Sober Day just says weird as fuck. Those are my only notes for that one. So this was a doozy.
Yeah, so I think Sweet Charity is about Mike Patton's freedom after leaving Faith No More. I think that is his happiness song. And it's a beautiful song. It's a great opening. Every time I hear those birds at the beginning, I already know what's going on. To get back to the earlier conversation, I was a first-day buyer of this album. As I mentioned previously in a previous video, I really got into Bungle the year before this album came out. So when it came out, I was ready to go. And I probably listened to this album 6 times a day for the first 2 years. And then after that, it probably dropped down to I'm listening to it to about 10 times a week. And then after about 7 or 8 years, I've kind of averaged out. But even now, 25 years later, 24 years later, no, 25. It'll be 25 this year in 2024.
Yeah.
I don't go a month without listening to this album. It's, I think it's the greatest album of the 1990s.
We'll see how it fares in the meat grinder.
We'll see how it fares in the meat grinder, but
I would vote
this is
for
where my money's at. You could take those magical albums of 91, 92, all those early, like, really inspirational stuff, and throw this up against it, it still wins. My only downside to this album is that unlike the other 3 Mr. Bungle albums that are all over an hour and just completely assault you, this one's 45 minutes. It's perfect length.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my only complaint is that it's the perfect length.
Yeah. That's a good complaint, though.
Yeah, none of them knew they were robots, I think, is a fantastic growth in Trey's songwriting from Desert Search, from Techno Allah. I think it takes that kind of songwriting approach and just improves it. Retro Vertigo is a Trevor Dunn composition. I've been saying it for 25 years. I will say it again. I see no reason why Retro Vertigo wasn't the biggest song of that year, why it's not still played on the radio in any format daily. It could be on AM Gold, it could be on your alternative rock station, it could be on your top 40 station. It is a masterpiece of a song that is perfectly executed. And yeah, you both alluded to it. It's one of Mike Patton's highlights in a career full of highlights. He just nails it.
Do you know what
the air conditioned night?
Sorry,
the what?
Do you know what is still played to this day?
Epic.
Scar tissue, what I wish you saw.
Yeah, so 1999, Californication did come out first, and I was listening to that album a lot. I actually saw Mr. Bungle that year in 2000. It was my 21st birthday, and it was a 6-hour drive there and a 6-hour drive back. And both drives, the only album we actually listened to in the car was Californication. We were road tripping all day long. And
with your favorite allies?
Yeah, well, we went and saw Mr. Bungle dress up like the Village People. And yeah, even up against Californication, which I guess we should talk about the feud at this point. So both albums with the word California in their title are coming out in the same year. They're both being marketed to the same audience.
Same record label.
They're the same record label.
Wait, marketed to the same audience? Really?
Alternative rock fans?
Well,
yeah. Yeah,
so
alternative rock fans.
I
feel
would
like
I was going to
California-
listen to both of those records regardless,
Yeah.
Strangely, yeah. Damn.
Yeah. Did Anthony Kiedis sabotage California? I'm gonna say yes.
He sabotaged their tour at least.
At least.
Yeah.
But he knew this album was coming out. This album actually did get pushed back. It had a release date that changed. Again, first day album buyer, I was paying attention. Like, when can I get the new Mr. Bungle album? And I want to say it got pushed back like 3 or 4 months.
Dang.
Because of Californication?
Because of, well, why else? At that point, Californication was already on its, second or third single. And yeah, all those singles are huge hits.
It's Californication.
It's a good record. I mean, I'm not going to hate.
I'm not going to, it is a good record.
Good record. Yeah.
Does it hold up as well as this one?
No. This is a way better record.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Come on.
Yeah, agreed.
Much like the first album here, banger after banger after banger, right? I stopped. Ars Moriendi is, I've always described it as the world's only techno polka death metal song.
Yeah.
Oh man, I definitely went through an Ars Moriendi phase where that was the song I always put on in the car with other people, and I sang it to them.
Oh, sure.
And in retrospect, I'm sure all of those people probably hate me now, but I can live with that.
I still like you.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Pink Cigarette is probably my least favorite on the album, just because it is kind of boring. It's a little too predictable for Mr. Bungle. But
yeah,
as Jason said, I do love the ending and the build-up, and I love the imagery, and I love that it fits the theme going on here. I'm a fan of the Bionic Vapor Boy. Disco done with children's toys? Sign me up. The Holy Filament is another Trevor Dunn piece. I think it's about the internet. I think God's eternal strobe is the blue screen flashing right before your eyes right now as you scroll.
Yeah.
And then I think Vanity Fair is about Michael Jackson.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. Pretty sure they've said that, right?
I don't know if they've said it or if it was speculated. I can't remember at this point, but
Yeah.
yeah, it definitely has that, like, you know, let's creep on some little boy vibe, but also very poppy and California and showbiz. I think Goodbye Sober Day is it's a masterpiece. It's just one of those songs you put on for somebody who has no idea what to expect, and they're gonna reform their opinion of you as a person right then and there.
Yeah, it's I mean, as many times as I hear it, it still kind of surprises me every time I listen to it. Like, it's just boundless. It's so good.
But musically, it's a lot of big band influence there going. It also gets really heavy. There's a swing to it. There's a swing to this whole album that, you know, if it don't got that swing, it don't mean a thing. And it's got it all over it. So it means a whole bunch. It
feels California. Like it oozes California.
It feels Mr. Bungle too. It's really kind of dark and twisted and not what you're expecting. But much like the state that they're from.
Yeah.
You expect bright and sunny beaches and wish they all could be California girls. And they are, and it is bright and sunny.
I mean, I listen to a lot of,
there's also a lot of mathematics going on.
I listen to a lot of like 90s punk and like the East Bay, you know, punk rock, and you just from that you can get that California is not the bright sunny place that.
Sure, yeah.
And this kind of fits that vibe.
When I want to think of California not being a bright and sunny place, a group called NWA comes to mind.
Yeah, NWA,
Body Count. Yeah.
Well,
there's an ugliness.
California.
There's an ugliness to California.
There's some of everything in California. It's like it's country. Like it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of space, a lot of things going on.
It's still the 5th largest economy in the world.
Yes, yeah. I mean, everybody thinks that like California is like highly left wing and stuff, but you drive north of Los Angeles and
you've got Alabama in California.
You see Trump signs everywhere.
Yeah. I've been to Michigan.
Who said Palm Springs was left wing?
Yeah, I mean, it's like that all over the country. There's dumb people all over the country.
Yep.
Yeah. This record to me, like, as somebody who's not spent a lot of time in California, it kind of gave me like a David Lynchian vibe of California.
Yeah.
Like that's the
and going back to the Blue Velvet, samples all over the first album. Mm-hmm. David Lynch is a Mr. Bungle, and Mr. Bungle is a David Lynch.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it goes very well together. It's the same sensibility. Yeah.
I mean, one of my notes was like, it sounds like fucking Twin Peaks. Like,
yeah. Which
I feel like Disco
is covered on the Phantomos director's cut. They covered Firewalk with Me's theme, and that's it's up there with like Strip Search and Retro Vertigo as far as like one of Patton's best vocal performances. It's amazing, and it totally fits, and it fits the entire vibe of all of them. It's a good chance now to. Well, I'll mention it on the next one actually. Like David Lynch, California, John Waters in California.
Yeah. Be a
Mr. Bungle. Don't fit in.
Well,
but have some quality, because this is this is a pop record from the band whose previous album is the strangest album to ever come out on a major label.
Yeah, I think it might have been you that told me this, but didn't they use every single track imaginable on like multiple songs?
Sweet Charity, I think, has 212 multi-tracks spread out over multiple machines and can never be remixed.
Recreated.
Because out of those 212, you pick any one of them, and there's 10 different instruments on the track. They filled up every single space. And it's a glockenspiel hit, and then a triangle, and then a guitar riff, and then a keyboard, and then a bass drum. And none of it makes sense.
I'm assuming it was still recorded on tape, right? I assume that.
This was 2 16 tracks synced up together, I think. That they so in the original CD, Trey invited everybody to come to the Web of Mimicry, where they were giving away the PDF of the lyric sheet, and there was also a deeper dive where Trey would also send you detailed notes for the production, which ended up being like a 300-page manuscript of the EQs here on and very technical stuff, but it's out there.
Yeah, I still love the fact that Trey runs the Web of Mimicry out of his parents' garage. Like if you order,
his parents still do the mail order, yeah.
If you order like a vinyl from the Web of Mimicry, his parents package it up from their garage and send it to you.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep.
I mean,
I still check the web.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, but it still sounds really good.
Yeah.
Sweet Charity alone sounds really fucking good.
I mean, this is a record that I can, like, if somebody says, "What's this Mr. Bungle's t-shirt you're wearing?" I can play them a song, and if I know them well enough, I can go down and pick a song out.
Yeah.
Pick the song to play for them, yeah.
That will, appeal to anyone, like someone who's, like, listening to, straight pop music to, straight weird
Which
music,
is funny coming from the hit maker who decided not to make hits.
Yeah.
Instead, we'll literally make something that will appeal to everyone.
Yeah.
So, Tim, where would you rank it up against the first album in disco?
I'm gonna like this one above both of those. Yeah, it's kind of a desert island album for me. If I and this is a tough discography, I can make the argument for every single album being in every single position.
All right, for me,
For sure.
I'm gonna put it number 2. I like it better than disco.
Okay.
But I still really fucking like that first record.
Okay. Cool.
Colquitt?
It's the king of rock. There is none higher. Other LPs should call it sire. It's number 1.
Fun fact about the plane recording pressing of California is this is the first pressing. There was no previous pressing to this. And does it sound good? No. They used a digital map. They used a digital source. So I'm still waiting for a true analog sourced.
Well, you said it's the 21st anniversary coming up, so...
Well, and Ipicek's been working on getting the rights, but last I heard, Warner Brothers is still asking too much money.
They are such jerks.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure you'll be...
They did pay for these 3 albums that,
Yeah.
So,
But Ipicek Records and probably the Web of Mimicry as well would pitch in. And Trevor's got a label now, too, so I'm sure they'd all pitch in. But Ipicek's got the money. as far as all the independent labels that are running with Mr. Bungle.
Don't worry, Tim. I'm sure next year you'll be able to pick up your copy of Californication for its 25th anniversary.
Super Deluxe. Which I would, because one of the best songs from that session ended up being a B-side.
I agree.
To Other Side, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gong Li.
Oh, I'm thinking How Strong.
Oh.
That the guitar solo on that is great. The groove is great. I like that one. But this one, like, it's a masterpiece. You can play it for your grandparents and they'll be like, oh, that's lovely. You know? As opposed to, what is this garbage the kids are listening to? Yeah, lucky enough to see the tour twice. It's an important album, and as I said earlier, I think it's the best album of the decade.
All right. What about you, Joe?
That's number one. I mean, no question. I mean, this is probably in my top 3 to 5 records ever. Yeah, it's just a wonderful album.
It's a Desert
I will
Island
say,
disc.
though, as far as playing it for the grandparents, when I was obsessed with it, I played it for my father, and he very obviously didn't get it. He did over and over again compare it to Frank Zappa.
Yeah, sure.
I still don't really believe that Mr. Bungle wasn't influenced, because they say that they never heard Frank Zappa, but people have been bringing it up since they were a new band. And I'm like, if people have been bringing it up since you were a new band, you at least probably listened to something at some point.
And 2 of them are classically trained, and you know they all heard Valley Girl.
Well, I mean, even, like, you listen to like Brown Shoes Don't Make It, and the first thing I thought when I heard Brown Shoes Don't Make It, because I was already a Bungle fan, was this sounds like something off of Disco Volante.
Sure.
And then it's you listen. There's I think they're fucking lying.
Well, of course they are, because of course they can't say they're influenced by Frank Zappa. That gives it all away.
Yeah. I don't see. I think Trevor especially has been very vocal about his influences. Like he's been very.
Oh, all of them have, and you can see it all over all of their careers. So yeah.
But I think the idea that they were never influenced by Frank Zappa is a lie. But, yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we got one more to go, plus a live album. Give us a like, subscribe, stick around, see if the raging wrath of the Easter Bunny is going to upset the ranks or not. Who knows? Will we all drop at number 4? Stick around and find out. Be safe. Make good decisions.
As long as we got each other, we got the world spinning right in our hands.
As long as we got each other.